So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector. And today I got Jeff. He plays guitar in Shock Narcotic. They're a band that has many members from different bands that came together. And we're here to talk about their second full length album that came out in July the 18th, and it's called Ask. No, wait, I was gonna say the wrong title. My afraid, but I am not. So, Jeff, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So obviously, you used to play in the Dillinger Escape Plan, and there's people from other bands. So, uh,
Yeah.
do you like the term supergroup?
Um, as in regards to shock narcotic or just in general?
Yeah, well, both.
Um, I'm gonna say no. And just because I really feel like most bands that could be considered supergroups, I always feel like they fall a little bit flat to me. Um, we never we never approached this band in those terms. It was more like we all come from different backgrounds, we have different influences. Let's see what happens if we just like try to create some music together. And then I think on top of that, um, none of us none of us really have that type of ego where, we need to be the one that's outshining everyone else, you know. I think with supergroups, I think the music can get muddled a little bit because everybody's kind of trying to get their individuality to shine through. Um, that that's never been an issue for us. Um, and as far as the music goes, I write all the music anyway, so I'll write the music, Sean writes the lyrics, and then Don writes his, I'll kind of give my approximation. I mean, I could never do what Don does on a guitar. Um, so I'm not going to try to dictate, here's what I want you to play note for note. Because I think that's ridiculous. Because I mean, Don is a one of one, he's such an amazing talent. And um, I'm not going to try to limit his abilities, and I'm not going to try to you know, I guess yeah, limit his capabilities because he's going to think of things that I would never think of, and then same with, with the first record we had Zach Gibson on the drums, and then with this new record we've got Adam Jarvis. Both are insanely talented musicians. Again, can I play drums? Yes. Can I play drums to even close to their capabilities? Absolutely not. So I'll give them a rough sketch of, here's a part that maybe would do good with some blast beats. Here's a part that maybe we want to go halftime. But as far as the particulars, I want them to do what they want to do, what's going to be fun for them to play. And they're going to bring their individuality and sensibilities to the songs. And I feel like everything has worked out in that way. I think it feels, I think the albums have been a pretty singular, unique experience, as opposed to, I think, maybe what other super groups might come up with.
Yeah, it's more of a collaborative effort, and it's basically dudes from different bands that came together. So you write most of the music, but you let obviously the people who are other way contribute to that. But I did get that chaotic feel in the music. So the album is like, I think it's like 27 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So it's 27 minutes, flies by super quickly. So the album title is pretty interesting. My flesh is afraid, but I am not. Is there like a story behind that album title?
Sean picked the album title, and it's actually a quote from the movie The Seventh Seal.
Oh,
And are you familiar?
no, I haven't seen that movie.
Classic cinema.
Yeah.
It's a great movie if you're ever interested. And uh, I like it for a couple of reasons because the first album was also titled after a movie quote. Um, so I don't know if when we get to album number three, if we're going to kind of continue that trend of pulling an obscure line of dialogue from an old movie or something like that. But when it came down to the lyrical content and just the time, the timeline in which we were creating the record and just how the album sounds sonically, felt like it was really fitting. I wrote the bulk of the music during the COVID lockdown, a time when there was a lot of uncertainty in the world, a lot of time where it really felt like, nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what tomorrow is going to be like. So um, it's kind of that separation between your mind and your body, and your mind can convince you of a lot of things that maybe aren't true. So it's about, yeah, like my mind might be afraid, um, but you got to keep going, and your body's going to get you there.
So in a way, having that lockdown and everything, maybe help the chaotic nature of the record.
I think so. That lockdown period, it's uh I really feel like, down like in the future, people are going to look back at that period of time and just maybe look at it from a different perspective and really just not be able to fathom, hopefully, I mean, hopefully nothing like that ever happens again. And people are going to
Yeah,
look at,
we're long gone.
yeah. Um, but yeah, it was a scary time. And it was for a lot of people, it became a period of extreme isolation, and when you sit by yourself and you kind of get rid of the distractions of your life, a lot of people weren't able to work, a lot of people weren't able to go to school, you're stuck at home. Um, and when you don't have those outward distractions and your attention starts to turn inward, and I know for me, I was kind of discovering a lot of things about my mental health and that sort of thing that I was sort of able to mask to a certain degree because I was always on the go. I was always um, just you just kind of push it off into the corner of my mind and just keep moving forward. But slowing down, those things are going to find a way to creep out eventually. So a lot of that became the fuel for the songwriting. And I know Sean kind of feels the same way. Um, so yeah, it really became the album became a way for me to process some of these new feelings that were really had been with me for probably much longer than I had ever realized, but was really facing head on for the first time.
No, yeah, I think a lot of people, at that time, Uh, Thankful I was able to work remotely, but also, I wasn't alone, but a lot of also like a lot of time, like a lot of time passed slower. A lot of boredom, a lot of
Yeah.
and yeah, it was a weird time. So when you're picking a single for this one, you have the video for Oblivion Liquor. Uh,
Hmm.
Tell us about that track.
Um, as far as like why did we pick that for the single?
The theme on that one.
Um, thematically, like in terms of the lyrics, it's uh, the entire album is very dystopian and just about a bleak kind of outlook on life, but not necessarily wallowing in that bleakness. It's there, it exists, but we got to keep moving. That's you either keep moving or you don't, and neither me or Sean or any or Don or Adam or any of those guys, we're not the type of person to just quit and let something win over us. So it's taking that bleakness and sort of looking at it through a different lens and using it as the fuel to create something that ends up kind of being a positive force in our lives, you know? Um, and as far as why we chose it for the single, um, I really couldn't say. Sean and I both, we were like, which one should we pick? And we both said it sort of like off the cuff. And, sometimes actually a lot of times I feel like the music speaks to you more than you can speak to it. There was just something about that we felt was an encapsulation of the album. It represents a lot of what we do. It doesn't, maybe it doesn't have like the faster blast type elements, but it's the riffs are pummeling, the drums go hard. There's some awesome bass work, and Sean's lyrics are just extraordinary. So we felt like it would be a good one to put out there.
Yeah, it seems to work out, and it's a cool song. So I want to talk about the artwork. I'm going to show the artwork of the record, which has been out now a few weeks, I think, through Housecore Records, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, right?
Correct.
Okay, so here is the artwork for My Flesh is Afraid, but I am not. So it seems, is that the teeth? Is it a wolf? What are we looking at?
It's a collage of dog teeth and mouths in various states.
Is
And it's an art. What's that?
or is it like a painting?
It is a painting originally, and it's a photograph of that painting. The specifics of which, aside from so Sean handles all of the lyrics and stuff, handle the music. But on top of that, Sean is an extremely talented artist. And his band Child Bite, he handles like all the art direction for that band. For this one, he handles the art direction as well, um, with the exception that instead of creating pieces for the album artwork or the t-shirts, um, he he chose to kind of give separations to the products, that he would work with different artists and their creations, and then to kind of take that as the motivation, and then he would go ahead and create like the typefaces and the fonts and stuff, um, to kind of fit the vibe of what we're working with.
Awesome, yeah, no, and it definitely represents the music, and it's an image that you gotta look at it to see, okay, I see the teeth, but what am I looking at? So it goes
Yeah.
with the music. So you guys recently played some shows with obviously Pantera, which obviously Phil owns Housecore Records, and Among Amarth. Tell me how were the shows?
I mean, I don't even honestly don't know how I don't know how to kind of translate what it felt like to be a part of something of that stature. Um, I I've been a Pantera fan since I was a little kid. Um, Dimebag was a huge influence on me. Phil's vocals, style, and just the way that he carries himself has always been an inspiration to me. So, um, to be able to not only to share a stage with Pantera, but they're extremely welcoming. The entire band, the entire crew. Um, you know, it was, they treat everybody like equals, which doesn't always happen, in this industry. You might be along for the ride, but you're the opening act in like know your place kind of thing. It was definitely not that. And to be able to go out there and do our thing, it was you know, definitely on the top, top of the highlight list for things that I've done, been able to do musically in my life. Something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, and I'm sure the fans were welcoming to the aggression that you guys bring with Shock Narcotic.
Yeah, it is hard when you go out there. Maybe the diehard Pantera, Phil Anselmo fans that are more familiar with the house core library and stuff, they're gonna know the name. But for the most part, yeah, you're going in there. A lot of people are going into the show blind. They don't know who we are. Um, so we just got to go there and turn some heads, hopefully, and keep them turned towards us, and just by doing our thing. And yeah, we did. We had a good reception from the people there, and hopefully we get to do it again sometime.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was an awesome experience. So, from this album in particular, do you have a song that you like playing the most right now?
Um, let me think here. Um, I would say either um, "We Are the Enemy," just because I like the guitar work in that song is pretty much nonstop. Like my fingers are constantly moving. It's kind of a unique track on that album. And then another one that sort of surprised me, and I didn't realize how much I enjoyed until we started playing live, was Slurring Delirium. I use a lot of effects pedals and things like that. And that one, I was trying some new things that I feel like that I feel worked well. And as I was getting more proficient with the switching of the pedals and stuff, sort of unlocking a new style that I really want to get more into, and just kind of take what I was doing in that song, and seeing what more can be done with it.
So on that one, you like it because you experimented a lot with the pedals and changing of
Yeah,
the sounds for the guitar. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that's something. I think of shoegaze a lot with the pedal.
yeah.
The pedal.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then, well, because the flip side of that is when I was younger, I would write, the bands that I was in, we'd get in a room and we'd all write music together. So writing in sort of more of that live context. With this band, um, I was approaching the writing from more of a studio perspective where I could sort of record pieces and do all this crazy effect work and maybe put sandwiching pieces together that um, would be difficult to perform live. And then, you're just like, well, this sounds cool now. I'll figure out what to do when we get out on the stage. I'll worry about that later. For now, like this is what I want the song to sound like, and hopefully I can just figure out how to do it live. And so it's like Slurring Delirium was definitely one of those pieces where I had an idea of how I wanted it to work. In the past, there's been some cases where I really I almost even had to change some things up because I'm like, there's no way that I can do this live, you know. But with Slurring Delirium, there's some parts where I sample my guitar and then process it and then play over it. And then so I'm like layering all these pieces. And when I finally kind of nailed that down, I was like, you know what, this is a lot of fun and I'm glad that it worked out. And I want to keep pursuing this and just making weirder and crazier sounds.
Did it trend? Did you play that one live in the shows that you did?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I feel like it worked well, and yeah, it was something that yeah I want to develop further and just kind of take it to the extreme and see what else can be done.
Yeah, and and this type of music, well, obviously this is a 27-minute record. Uh, like experimenting in shorter songs, I'm guessing it's harder because you gotta be fast, you gotta change, like sometimes maybe so fast that people can, if they're not paying attention, they maybe don't hear the change because it's not like a prog where like
Right.
songs like breathe and take
Yeah,
more space and are long. Uh,
sure.
so now that the album's been out a few weeks, I'll post the link for people who want to get, the physical variants from Housecore Records. So what's next? Are you guys playing any more shows?
We don't have anything lined up right now. The great thing about having somebody like Adam Jarvis playing drums for your band is you have Adam Jarvis in your band. You know, um, he he brings a lot to the table. He's amazingly talented. The downside is he's an extremely busy guy. Um, he left the Pantera tour and immediately went back to Europe. He was in Europe before the shows, so went back to Europe, and then he was going to Australia and then back to Europe. So that can limit things a bit to a certain degree. Um, but so yeah, for right now, we don't have anything planned, but that's not to say that something else won't pop up in the future. Where our Sean and I are already talking about, what could we do for the next record? Because I think between the first and second records, there's some overlap for sure, but I think that they're very different records. Um, and Sean and I were already talking like, we're excited to see the possibilities of what a third record could sound like, like which direction is it gonna go? Because I never sit down and say, I'm gonna write a grindcore record, or I just really start playing and whatever comes out, and that's what it's gonna be, Um, and that's how this record has a bit more of like the down tempo songs as compared to the first record, and that's just what was coming out. That's what came out. I don't know if it was a reflection of um the lockdown period, like when you're saying like you're feeling bored, you're feeling trapped, not know what to do, so just kind of not feeling that frantic energy like the first record, so who knows what the third record could be. I don't have a clue, but I'm excited to find out.
So yeah, And maybe this time, obviously, it can take less time to put.
Mhm.
So, Jeff, I want to thank you for taking some time
Yeah.
after, to chat with me. So, before I let you go, like anything you like to say to the fans before we go?
Yeah, just I'm appreciative and thankful that I still have the opportunity to make music that I feel that people can connect with. Um, Thankful to get opportunities like being out on the road with Pantera, and yeah, just hopefully it's not going to take another 6 years for something else to come out. Um, yeah, so just keep an eye out for more stuff.
So Couchers, Shock Narcotics album, My Flesh is Afraid, but I Am Not is out now. And so I'll post the link for people who want to order the physical record. And obviously they can follow you online and the Instagrams and the socials if they
Yeah.
want to know if something changes in the show front for the band. So Jeff, again, thank you for your time. So until next time, Couchers,
All
this
right.
the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch.
All
Thank
right.
you and
Yep.
good.
Take care, man.